All right, over to you, Sana.
Thanks so much, Donna Denica. That's I guess your author name. Awesome. Hey, everyone. I'm so sorry I missed your introductions, but I know a few of you already from the AI for Writers group, and it's kind of nice to see faces and put faces with the names because I see profile pictures, or some of you don't have profile pictures. You just have other images of things. So it's nice to meet everyone here. And then there's some new faces, and I'm sorry I missed your intros. I actually I think Donna sent me some of your books though, so I do have a sense about what you guys write about. So welcome to today's session, which is on how you can create 30 days of Twitter marketing content for your nonfiction book. So before I begin though, I'm curious, what thoughts and questions do folks have? Just shout them out, drop them in the chat. And I can try and customize some of what I'm actually talking about based on what you say. So drop that in, or if you want to, anyone wants to take a quick minute and talk about what are some of their struggles with marketing on Twitter. We can talk about that live as well. Anyone?
I'll just say that for me, it's on any social media, not specifically Twitter, is the feeling that I'm being too repetitive and that I could be losing followers because they're just seeing not necessarily the same, but something that's very close to the same and not really providing them anything interesting new about the content that I have. So that's really my biggest concern going into something like this.
Is what you're tweeting mostly, because I did read your book description, and it was
Brave
brief.
woman.
Well, you know, I thought it was funny you said that, because as I was reading that, I'm like, I think I need her book. So I was having a very different reaction reading your description than what you thought I would have. I was like, yeah, I need that book. My mother passed, because I know you write about grief. My mother passed unexpectedly in 2018. And
Wow.
And some of the folks here know that I have a 3-week-old daughter, and the process of giving birth to her, like during labor, I kept saying, I miss my mother. So it made me realize I still have a lot of undealt with grief around her passing and around her not being here through my life's event. So as I was reading your book description, I'm like, I want this book. I read this book. I mean, I need this book, you know. So, but anyways,
I'm sorry
coming back
that you do, but yeah, I understand. Believe me.
Yeah, I think a lot of us. I mean, and this is why I kind of wished I had heard your descriptions. I think a lot of what you guys are writing about. Sometimes I feel like, hey, it's repetitive, and people don't need this, but there's always people who have problems around that area, right? There's new people, there's even your existing followers have other aspects of it, right? Like I thought I was done and had dealt with the passing, and suddenly for it to show up like some couple of years later in labor of all times was interesting, you know. So anyways, so when you say anything on social media around your particular audience, are you just trying, what is it that you're usually putting out? Is it pieces from your book? Is it excerpts from your books, quotes from your books? Or
So I haven't done a lot of marketing for that particular book yet because I've felt the problems surrounding it. And so when I have done marketing, it's usually been a pull quote, a short pull quote from the book and saying, you know, this is just how I felt about it, or, you know, just not even a tweet thread, just maybe 1 or 2 tweets about that particular quote and then a link to the book. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So like a direct response thing, like, hey, this is a book, go buy it, you know?
Yeah. Not very effective, I found. But and I think I could do a lot more with that because I do know there are a lot of people out there dealing with grief and mourning issues. So but again, I'm scared of just being, you know, repeating myself of saying, oh, grief is terrible, read my book. Like that's not what I want to say.
Okay, I think you'll get some ideas as we go through this, that will help you with that. Yes, Danica, definitely interesting time for it to show up. I think, yeah, giving birth to a daughter, there's a lot of stuff around the daughter and mother thing going on for me, perhaps. Anyways, anyone else want to just share their 2 cents of what their struggles with social media marketing and Twitter marketing might be? No? Shy people? Oh, there we go. Crystal, go ahead and unmute
I
yourself.
think the biggest struggle is the creative mode or brain versus the marketing and business mode and brain, and switching modes, like how frequently to do that, and not wanting to do like the canned content on social and just pre-schedule everything, but also how do you manage that shift between writing fiction and nonfiction, and then that stuff. So just ways to be still like present and organic when you are there, but also, you know, the balance piece. And yeah, any, I guess, shiny new options for managing that, as more and more platforms are kind of emerging and we're looking at how things stream from one place to another. I think the repetition question was also really interesting from a like unique to that platform as well. So any kind of current specific to, if it's Twitter specifically the focus is on, then how specifically to yeah, just any latest tips and tricks and new best practices, since Twitter is a changing ecosphere at the moment quite drastically.
Right.
So
Now, I feel like I've read the description of your book. Remind me which one was it about the series? Why authors should write a series of books?
I think
Was
that's
you?
the one I sent. Yeah, it's strategic series author. Yeah.
Okay. And now tell me a bit about, switching between I wouldn't say the fiction and marketing brain, but the nonfiction and marketing brain. What is the bounds and what is difficult about that for you?
I guess outflow versus inflow. Like in order to engage on a platform, you have to be taking in content there, not just pushing out. And so in writing mode for the next book, because it's not just one book. So in writing mode for the next book, how do you switch back and forth between those two? And the writing is usually a combination of outflow and inflow, but just regulating like your mental space or your
you're thinking about a different topic, not marketing the book which you may have already read, right? So I hear you on that one. I think where AI helps is because so much of you guys' days is spent on writing the next book, right? Or whatever, which may be a completely different topic than the roster of books you already have that you want to market. But the beauty of being able to do these things with AI in a short amount of time, so whether it's 1 hour or 90 minutes, is that for that 1 hour or 90 minutes, it's fairly easy for you to switch into that topic again and just get out your month to 90 days of content. And so your switching costs go down that way. And it's fairly easy. It's easier to put an hour in than to put in 4 hours weekly on your social media marketing. So one of the things that I mentioned in the post about this talk as well is that I've been doing this for a while now. And when I was working with nonfiction authors last year, before the AI explosion, it was literally me, a designer, and the author. And together in all our meetings in a week was 4 hours of just meeting time, not time counting the time we're actually creating the assets, right? To get this level of content out there on social media. Whereas with AI, what I'm going to show you guys next will help you get out the 30 days of content. And then there's other ways, like, you use tools like Zapier and connections with your buffer and other ways that it's just basically automatically going out from there. You're no longer having to spend the 4 or 5 hours just to market the stuff that you already have, right? You're spending an hour once in 30 days, or spending 90 or you're spending 90 minutes for the next 90 days, and then you're done with it for that one book, right? Or that, and then you do it next time again when you want to do it for the next book. So, okay, cool. Anyone else want to chime in before I get started? No? I would love to add more of it's one of those tools I'd like to learn how to use at some point. Okay, then you should definitely stay to the end, because that's one of the things that I will work on and make available for you guys. If you guys want to sort of take me up on the 90-minute 90 days of content session, which I'll be talking about. Okay, cool. So let's get started with what I have for you. I'm going to screen share. All right, see my screen, scroll up all the way. I am very distracted by my own face, so I'm going to minimize that. Donna, perhaps if you see something in the chat that that I'm not seeing because I have everyone minimized, just like unmute yourself and tell me.
Will do.
This bar as well. Okay. So quickly about me. Is there anywhere I can put this? Okay, I'm just gonna leave this there. Okay. So quickly about me. So I'm like a marketer and a business development professional. I've been an entrepreneur for several years. I've worked in tech with various kinds of like tech and social media and gaming startups and bigger companies. But I've been throughout all this time like a passionate like book reader. And so as more and more of the authors I loved or had read years ago started coming online, interacting online, and putting more of their offerings out there, which allowed me to get deeper into their ideas and like transform my life further. I was like, wow, I really love, you know, authors being in the space. And then I realized authors had various issues with being able to market and being able to build that author platform in the way that I felt like they really should. So I started working more with nonfiction authors primarily. And the whole idea was, hey, let me help them make more money online through marketing better, through building courses, selling courses, and a number of other things. So if you're curious more about my story, I put a link to the section of my website that talks about that, and you can go ahead and take a look there, okay? Now, what I wanted to talk about first off is that for you as a nonfiction author, your products and your books is kind of how most people would market any kind of product online, right? So you have to think about the customer journey that people take before they find their way to you, in the same way as you would for a course, in the same way as you would for any other, you know, product, etc., that people are putting out there. Are there any chat messages? Oh, you can open this way. Notion, I love Notion. Yes, Notion is awesome. Yes, we will try and get this. I don't know when, but we'll try and put it on YouTube and get this to everyone after. Okay, let me just turn on my fan. Give me a second, guys. Okay. So how many of you are aware of the customer journey? So this is basically them. People are initially unaware of the problem that you want to help them with. Then they're aware of the problem. Then they're unaware of solutions. Then they're aware of solutions. And then they're at this place where they're unaware of the product. And then they're aware of the products. Have you guys seen this before? It says talking, but I don't see talking.
Lots of nods if you can't see everybody.
Okay. All right. Okay. So basically, that's the customer journey. And then the way you want to think about your Twitter account goals, right? Is first you want to grow a core audience that's interested in your topic, right? Build your reputation as that expert who can help them with that problem. Help them imagine that you're the expert that can help them, and then direct them to your offerings, such as your book, right? And finally, those who are in that problem unaware, which is like usually a larger part of the universe, attracting them and taking them from problem unaware to problem aware and all the way down. So 1 through 5, and basically doing 1 through 4 rather with them, and getting them to a point where they're ready to buy your book. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. Now, I thought this was interesting. A lot of, I think, what you guys do, which ends up making it feel harder to market, is directing them to your offering, such as your book, right away, right? Sound familiar? I think someone just mentioned that. Yeah, right. So that's actually this number 4, right? So if you imagine the universe of all the people out there, this is my attempt at a funnel. Just imagine this is a funnel going through. So the people who are unaware that they even have a problem is the largest group, right? And then it's the people who are aware they have a problem, and so on and so all the way down. So when you are immediately saying, like taking the grief example, so you're saying, hey, grief is hard, grief is bad, or whatever your tweets are. I'm sure they're deeper than that, you know. But then talking about your book, the people who just think about it, who are the people who are most going to resonate with that kind of message? Anyone can yell this out, guys. You can unmute yourself and just yell out. It's a small enough group.
Definitely anybody who suffered a major loss of a family member.
Right. So probably, but in terms of this stuff, like people who've suffered, not only people who've suffered, but they know that struggles I've had is because they're very aware that they suffered. So they're aware of the
Right.
problem. Okay.
Mhm. They're
And
usually
then
solution unaware. That's what they're solution unaware. That's generally at the stage I would say that most of my customers would be at. They're
are they
looking-
solution unaware, or they're aware of various solutions, they just don't know yours?
Yeah, I guess that might be, I guess there might be aware a solution might exist.
Yeah, so basically they're aware of various solutions and kind of know, but they don't know about your product. So product unaware. So
Okay.
the folks that basically would resonate to your directing them to your offerings, such as a book, are the ones who are all of these, and they're aware of your product. And then for whatever reason, whatever you say in that particular social media post or others leading up to it, they're like, okay, I'm aware of the product she has. I think this might be a match for me. I'm going to go ahead and buy it. So that is always a very small part of that funnel, right? So when I was in sales, we used to say that the people who are all the way down here, oops, I messed up my notes, all the way down here, and are basically now, when you give them a direct offer to your product going to buy, that's usually, if you fill a stadium full of people, that is your potential universe. That's just 3% of the people. So that's 3% of the people, whereas 97% are in these other stages. So if you happen to catch those 3% at the right time, and your tweet goes out to them, or your social media post goes out to them at the right time, when they're actually have done all of these things and are thinking about their problem and the solution and the product, they're going to buy. Everyone else won't. So the whole point of social media is you want to address everyone else, not just the ones who are that 3% group, right? And so this presentation is about helping you guys do all these other things, because I think this, I mean, some of you might be great at this, some of you might be, just getting started with this, but really it's only in terms of moving the needle for your businesses, your book sales, it's a small part of it, right? To move the needle, you got to do all these other things. And the beauty of AI is you can actually spend an hour and do all of those things in the next 30 days and see what works and learn from it, right? Which is the whole idea with this, okay? Cool. Any questions, guys? Interrupt me. You guys are such a respectful, quiet audience. I'm not used to it. I'm used to people like stopping and saying, wait, what about this?
I think I'm just like taking it all in, because one of the things that I realized, and this is so dumb. So I didn't mention this in my introduction, but my day job is actually doing social media. And so part of this for me is like why Twitter and social media is so hard for me as an author is I'm burned out from it. Like I'm exhausted by the end of the day of doing this for my corporate job. And I like, this is the last thing I want to do. And like, as I'm listening to this, I'm like, duh, this is also going to help me with the day job. And I don't know why I didn't connect those two dots. I think it's just, again, the burnout and exhaustion, but I'm like over here, like frantically taking notes on, okay, so here's how I'm going to apply this to the stuff that I do for work. And so I love that even though I technically know all of this stuff, it's just like a reminder and having it put to me in a different way. And I'm like, oh yeah, duh, I know how to do that. And so it's kind of giving me a little more confidence. So I'm already appreciating it from that angle. So thank you.
I'm glad to hear it. And one of these, so pre-iPad, I was really into touchscreen laptops and stuff. Quick, short little story. And so I found an old, I think it was a Flickr account where I used to upload the mind maps I used to make in my notes. And there was this notes of the things I'm talking to you guys about, like the customer journey, like an old version. I used to draw a very bad looking ladder to show it, right? But my point is, these concepts have been around forever and ever, right? And anyone who takes any marketing course or has a business school class or just reads a blog post, you read these concepts. I think the issue is these days, and with AI even more so, is like being able to use these, taking any framework and applying them to your your marketing, your book marketing, to whatever you're doing within your business and your life, and then being able to use that framework as, okay, this is what I'm missing. Like I was fairly within a few seconds of Kimbu speaking, I was like, oh, okay, she's just doing the direct to book kinds of social media posts, right? So just keeping that in mind as you look at whatever you're doing with AI and everything else, like, what are my blind spots? What are the things that maybe I'm not using from within that framework? And, oh, why am I not doing it? For me, usually it's like, I know I got to do these things, but it just takes so much time. You know, like half the things that I have prompts for here, I'm like, you know, this would be good for me to do in my own Twitter account. Why haven't I done it? I'm like, oh, because previously I would have to be like, all right, I need to take out 4 hours to think through how this will work for my type of audience. But with AI, you're getting that ugly first draft that allows you to do these things much faster. Okay.
Yes, yes, exactly. That's exactly where I'm at, where I'm like, I know I have to do the thing. Do I want to spend 4 hours doing the thing? No, I do not. I'll go take a nap. Thank you very much. And so the AI part is really like, okay, I can do the thing and it's not going to take me 4 hours. So I can also still get my nap in.
Yeah, yeah. For me, it's like, oh my God. And while I have 2 kids tugging at me here and there, like, how is this going to happen? So the beauty is I like one of these prompts, literally, I was like, this should be a better prompt. So I was like feeding my kid and I'm like, okay, this is how I tweak it. And that's how this presentation came to be. Okay. I'm going to stop being a fangirl on AI and move forward because we have a lot to cover here. Okay. So, the first goal and the types of tweets that help, right? So the first goal, which is like, hey, grow a core audience interested in your topic. Now, this is actually a very easy one, which is you can simply get quotes and excerpts from famous respected influencers in your niche, right? Have AI generate that for you and use that to basically grow your core audience, right? So this is the prompt that I wrote. I'm not going to go through each of the prompts because there's like specific language, etc. written. So I'm just going to skim through these real fast. I will share, in fact, let me share this Notion doc with you guys right now. Where did I go? Share to web. Okay, copy link. I'm going to drop this in there. And if it's not working, let me know, because that means I probably did not get certain permissions in right. Okay.
Working great.
So this. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I usually like in most of these prompts saying, hey, you're an expert copywriter and a Twitter marketer, right? And you've been just letting the AI know who they're supposed to role play as, because that makes them start thinking about copywriting and then Twitter marketing. Okay. So you've been hired by a prolific writer who writes books for other authors on writing mindset for novelists. One of your books is where I grabbed that from. Of course, make this unique to whatever your book is, right? Now, before marketing their next book on Twitter, they've asked you to grow their Twitter following with a target audience of other authors. Again, if your audience is not authors, tweak it for that, okay? Now, please, this is what happens when you're nursing a baby and writing prompts. Please provide 10 quote tweets from influencers respected by novelists and novelists in the making to help attract target audience. Okay, so AI is okay with my misspellings and my thing, and so it gave me these, right, which I thought were pretty good. The first draft is you just telling a story, Terry Pratchett, and then it also like Twitter linked those people, which is always a good idea because you can then be speaking to their following as well. Okay. Second thing is for the same goal, because if you notice, it did not actually give me hashtags here. It's like, please provide the top 25 hashtags searched by authors on Twitter looking for writing advice. Okay. Now it always gives this because remember, ChatGPT is not connected to the internet. That's why it has like, I don't have real-time data. So if you in your world come across new tools that actually are connected to the internet, some of them are coming out, use their chat tool for this part. It will give you even better data.
I actually find this a lot because I use this for work. This, in fact, almost the exact prompt. If you go and you use the Bing AI tool, it does give you some alternative ones because that one is connected to the internet. It's still
telling me that I'm not connected to the internet though. I don't have live search results. So it said that to
Okay.
me when I did this for not you guys' space, but for like an e-commerce business that I also run,
Mhm.
and it kept saying that. But I came across something called Koala Chat and Koala Writer, which is actually like an SEO tool.
Uh-huh.
And that one actually has an option within where you can write the additional prompts and details. Like, hey, if you open this tab, it will actually get real-time internet data information. So not something worth, I think, investing for you guys unless you're trying to put out a lot of
Yeah.
SEO content. But if you do come up across an AI tool, because a lot of them use the OpenAI API key, but they in addition connect to the internet. So then you can, you won't be getting this. But all of that being said, if you are in a space like author advice for other authors is something that's been going around for a long time. The hashtags that were really popular before ChatGPT stopped reading the internet are probably still the ones that are popular now, right? So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Go ahead and use what it gives you. Your 30-day results, when you see which tweet performed how well in terms of engagement, will give you better data than some other tool as a starting point anyways. But if you have the option, you have another AI tool that is connected to the internet, use the chat within there for this prompt, okay? So anyways, these are the 25 hashtags it gave me. And then I was like, let's make this even more interesting. So using one of the influencers it gave me early on, which was this one, like I think it gave me a Maya Angelou tweet. So I was like, hey, imagine Maya Angelou was tweeting, give me 10 tweets in her voice using the hashtag below. And this is the hashtag from the first one from up there. Goal is to attract author followers to a Twitter account. Make sure each tweet has a thought leadership component and a direct CTA to follow my client's account. Okay. So it gave me these were actual tweets from Maya Angelou, and it had that CTA in the end. So you can go ahead and do this for each hashtag for each of the sort of influencers it's given you. And that in itself gives you great content. You could just do that for 30 days and build up a following, essentially.
I have a question. Are you checking these, make sure that the AI isn't just making those up on occasion?
In this case, I just asked AI, are these real quotes? It said yes. But if you do want to check them, use perplexity.ai. Or like any of your there are other AI fact checking tools to double check them before you put them out there.
But you aren't doing that though, typically.
In this one I didn't, because I said, hey, are these direct quotes of Maya Angelou? Because she's just so famous and has, her stuff has been around for forever, that I basically felt like AI is not making this up when it literally said, I'm not making this up, these are direct quotes. Okay. But you can always check them with another AI tool if you like. Or an easy layman's thing is just copy paste it into Google. If it shows up in a search result with a quote, most likely it is a famous quote out there. I think I got the feeling, I'm not as well read in her stuff as I believe some of you might be, but I got the feeling that these were actual true quotes. Does anyone think this is AI making it up? No?
I'd be curious because it's not so much about AI making it up, but it's the people who put it on the internet in the first place not getting it right. But you can't fact check that even with your own just straight internet search, like unless you find it in two places that are conflicting sources. But yeah,
right.
The misattributed quotes are
I do quotes
history,
all the time.
So that's just normal
for my day job. And I actually that's kind of what I do is I fact check it just with a Google search. And if I see like two differing versions of it, or like I will, I can't remember the exact search that I do, but I will actually do a search to say, is this accurate? And most of the time, if it's a quote that isn't properly attributed or is often mistaken, there's a whole slew of Google articles on it. So you're usually like, I've never had a problem, and I've been doing this for like probably 5 years of quotes, where as long as I Google it for the fact check piece, it always comes up fine. So I wouldn't worry about that.
Jenny has her hand up.
Yeah, I mean,
Go for it.
I would be cautious just because I've been playing around with ChatGPT and it gets pretty adamant that whatever it tells you is true. So it made up some references for, like, it gave me a fact and I knew the fact wasn't right. So then I asked it for some references and it gave me 3 different references leading to dead URLs. And then I went and researched it separately, and I mean, it just wasn't true. So, I mean, I think if you say, give me 10 quotes and it can only find 5, it's going to make up the other 5.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, this is what I usually use for researching. I have stopped using Google so much because it gives me sources. So, let's just try this real quick, what it says. Because what I like about, this is perplexity.ai, guys. So what I like about it is it usually gives me the sources in the bottom. So yeah, it's news sites though. So probably again, the same problem you guys are seeing. But anyways, I would dig around with Google and Perplexity AI to see where that particular quote comes from, and just double check that the source sounds like a real source to you.
And going back to the Bing AI, Bing AI also will do this exact thing where it'll give you those sources, and then, like, because it's through Bing, it's just a clickable link and you can go through and verify the source. So that's another alternative that I have found works really well. And so far I've had everything come through as accurate, and like when I independently verify. So just, you know, it's definitely something to watch out for to make sure that you're verifying the facts. But I do like that Bing will also give you your URLs that are linking to legitimate places.
Okay, guys. All right, I hear my kid crying, so let me actually have him join us. Give me a second. AMR, what's up?
It is interesting though, since she's off, like realizing that different AI tools do different things, and to just make sure that you know what they're capable of. And because I'll like do one thing in Bing and then switch over to ChatGPT, or I'll do something else in Choudary, and I just kind of switch between the tools because I think each one of them has their own skill set. And so I think some of learning this is just learning which tools can do what. I'm really interested in playing with this Perplexity one because I hadn't heard that one before.
All right, sorry about that. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next stuff. Sure, Stephen, no problem. Okay, so the third goal, help them imagine that you're an expert that can help them, right? So engaging facts and statistics plus recommendation. So this one is fairly easy. Like, I think one of your books, whoever's book this was, let me know if this was you, but this was about like, hey, how you should use an outline to write your novel, because otherwise you're like, you have all these characters speaking to you, you have all these ideas, but you just never get done. And so that's the example that I used for this particular prompt. Is that person here whose book it was? No? Okay. All right. So this was, hey, give me 5 statistics with sources on how writing a series of books can be a great way to level up your author career, create a more stable writing income, and create a devoted fan base. So the idea was, this is from the book description. I just grabbed the 3 benefits of this idea that the author was proposing, or this entire book was about, which was writing an outline, right? And so those 3 benefits is what I put in the prompt. Of course, update this part and put in the benefits of them reading your nonfiction book and what they get from it. And then ChatGPT comes back with statistics and it gives you sources, right? So even if it's and it also then has, you know, a recommendation, right? So let's just read one of them together, which is, according to a survey conducted by Mark Coker, founder of Smashwords, authors who wrote and published a series of books earned more. No, this is not the outline example, the series of book example. Sorry. A series earned almost 3 times as much as authors who wrote standalone books. Okay. And it gave me those 5 statistics. And then I said, hey, rewrite these statistics as tweets designed to attract authors looking to make more money. Each tweet must include a statistic plus recommendation for authors based on that statistic. And so it then gave me this. Where's the recommendation? Did I put in the wrong output? I think I put in the wrong output. This was my bad. It actually had, let's see if it lets me look up the. What happened here? Ah, there we go. This is the right output for that prompt. Want to earn more as an author, consider writing and publishing a series. Then it mentioned the stat, gave the recommendation in there as well. And then the hashtags, and this is actually the right output. Copy paste. Notion doesn't like that I've done a funny thing with numbered lists here. Okay. Okay, and then this one is an interesting, this was a fun one. You're a comedian with 10 years of stand-up experience. You have, so this is for a parenting author, right? I just, you have 2 toddlers and you just wrote a funny parenting advice book for parents of toddlers. Sounds like my life, but I'm not the author of this. Write 5 joke tweets that get parents of toddlers laughing, relating, and curious to learn more from you. Include a CTA to the book in each joke. So a fun way of doing it, raising a toddler is like playing a game of 20 questions, except they don't know the answers and they're screaming instead of giving clues. If you need some help navigating this wild ride, check out my new parenting advice book. Book now, and then you put in your CTA. And it has hashtags in there. Okay. Any thoughts, questions before I tell you other things that you can have in this particular goal, which we won't get a chance to cover today? I could see your faces in the screen share. I'm going to stop screen sharing. All right. Thoughts, questions? No?
This is fabulous, Sana. I'm excited to go and play.
Nice. That's just what I like. Folks thinking about. Okay. All right. So going back to the screen share here. Now, there are other types of tweets which I think work even more powerfully to get people, your audiences, to start seeing you as the expert who can help them, right? And this one I could not give you right now because I actually need to know, there's a little bit more pre-work actually on your part in terms of inputs from you to actually get the prompt to give you the outputs that you want, right? But I thought we'll just quickly talk about what those could be, right? So your creation story. Now, each of you has written when anyone who writes a nonfiction book is usually this moment in time when they decided this is a good book to write. This is why it's important. This is my personal story for why I felt that this was something that I should put out there, right? Like a good example is Kimbu's book with grief. This is something that she went to. So her personal story of that grief written in short, unique ways for various social media is actually super, super powerful in getting engagement and getting followers, right? So to give you an example of one of my author clients, this is someone who ended up becoming she was a midwife, but she started this entire movement of teaching, educating doulas and educating parents on how to do childbirth better. And all of this came from a moment in time when she happened to be in another country and she saw like 12 women after women being wheeled out, saying, holding their stomachs, being in pain because they were given C-sections when they didn't actually need one, right? And so that I said it really quickly, but that you can imagine how that story could be written in such an emotional way that most people are like, ouch, that hurts. I don't want to be that woman. I get it. You know, I get why you care so much about this problem and about people like me who could have this problem or are having this problem, that I implicitly trust you emotionally, right? So you have that emotional connection then with your potential audience way before they even know that you wrote a book or anything, because they know your Simon Sinek words, why, right? So that why, your creation story, works really, really well on social media. And the good thing is it's unique to all of you. So it's not once the cookie cutter thing that, you know, you're putting a simple prompt into AI and it's reading the internet and coming up with something that 50 other people have, right? This is unique to you, but getting the part where you use AI is getting AI to write it in different ways for different social media in a way that's still fresh, right? It's still the same core creation story. So this is something that I obviously could not give you a prompt for right now because it's very much unique to you. So it's one of those things that in the 90-day Twitter plan masterclass we can go into, because you'll come in with homework that I give you and we can just, I can give you the prompts then and you can drop in and see what you get as results from there, okay? Social proofing yourself as an expert. So this is talking about give me an example of someone's book from the audience, something new, because I miss the intros. Do you have something for me, Donna? Someone who achieved results for either themselves or people that they work with.
Lewis has been quiet. Lewis, do you want to share yours? Oh, where did he go? Okay, well, if no one else is popping up, so what about Scrappy Rough Draft? That's mine. Social proofing myself as an expert on getting through your first draft.
Okay, right. So basically, how many books have you written? Just give me, or like
10,
number of books.
10 fiction and 2 nonfiction.
Okay. And have you helped people with the process that you talk about in Scrappy Rough Draft? Okay.
Yeah.
So social proofing yourself would be an easy one for this one would be like literally saying an example person who you've helped with this process who was otherwise very stuck. Like maybe this is someone who was stuck for 5 years and could not get a book out there. And then using your process, they were able to do it in a week or in a month or whatever that time period is, right? So that is your social proof core story. And then you basically use various prompts to get AI to put that out in ways that are actually engaging, scroll stopping, get people to think, aha, she is the expert who can help me with this problem, because I can imagine myself being where your example client was, right? I don't know if you guys have heard of this feel, felt, found. Like I used to feel this way. You probably feel this way as well until I found, and this is the insight. So that's another thing that we can use for the social proofing thing. So like when you're using yourself, like with your 10 books, like say, maybe your first one until you discovered this process. I used to feel like getting that first book out there is gonna, I don't know, it will take me another 20 years of my life or something, because I was at it at that point for so long. And then I discovered that if I use these 5 simple steps or whatever that core of your book is, which is usually in your table of contents, you don't have to go into detail. That's what they read your book for, but just the titles. And then I discovered if I use this simple process with these 5 steps, I can actually get that first draft out there in X amount of time, right? So that's an example of what a social proofing tweet would be like. But of course, that core structure, AI can give you several different ways of presenting that in a thread, in a tweet, and a series of tweets or whatnot, okay? And then personal stories tied with timely events. So for example, if I know that I'm doing this content for the next 30 days, April 1st is coming up, then there might be certain stories from the research and writing process, or from the experiences that led to that book being written, that I could actually use as, oh, that's a funny story. Maybe I'll have AI give me various versions of putting that funny story out there in a way that makes sense to present in April 1st, right? And so that's, again, something that would, it's pulling out things, pieces and stories, etc. from you. And then we make AI give us like versions of it, right? Behind the scenes research process, this can often have really fun ones depending on what it is. So again, this is something that, you know, if you were to fill out Google Docs with like homework and give me some pieces of your, you know, different parts of this, your social proof stories, your creation stories, your behind the scenes research process, we can actually do some really, really fun things with AI that otherwise, like I said, was taking us 4 hours of meeting time, not working time, meeting time a week to get this kind of strategy out there, and to get them good results with their social media marketing last year. Okay. Education, 3 to 5 big ideas from your book as standalone tweets and threads. This is again similar to what I just said in terms of, you know, your core table of contents, etc. But this can be, and this can be as standalone tweets, this can be as threads, you can add stats to it, you can add infographics to it. There's a lot of fun things you can do. And the beauty of ChatGPT 4, by the way, which got me really excited, is you can actually have ChatGPT 4 write you that infographic. It does all the work. Yeah. So I think I have it copy pasted here. Yeah, it's right here. So that's the next one. So direct them to your offerings, such as your book, right? So this is, again, the midwife client. I was like, it's what I'd love to have, instead of us spending, I don't know, how long did we take on our first ethical bribe lead magnet? I think we took about a month, right? Because I wrote it, the author wrote it, all these members of our team went through it, and it got tweaked so much, you know, whereas if we had this version as our first version, it would not have to be tweaked so much. This could be the infographic, it could be the downloadable lead magnet as well. It would not have taken a month at all, right? It would probably take one email or a couple of emails, you know, and like the 5 minutes. So I'm a midwife with a book for parents and why they need to make informed choices and advocate for the least medical interventions for the baby. Am I not on screen share? I'm not on screen share, am I? Sorry. Okay. I'm a midwife with a book for parents on why they need to make informed choices and advocate for the least medical interventions for the baby. What is a statistic-based infographic I could create that goes viral on Twitter and attracts people to my book? And this is a ChatGPT 4 prompt, and it literally wrote the entire infographic. Okay, using statistics, it gave sources, World Health Organization. These actually sound right based on my work with them for a year. Okay, and subhead, everything, pretty much everything other than dropping this and making it look pretty in a design, it did. Okay, and it then reminded me, hey, like make it look pretty.
Okay, so you still have to design the infographic. It's not going to make one for you.
I have a trick for this though. I pay $15 for infographics and lead magnets that are beautiful. And
nice.
I grab them. I basically hire people in countries where $15 is a lot of money, and they have they went to university for graphic design and using Fiverr and whatnot. And I see some samples of their work. If I like it and I feel like they can copy paste without getting my info wrong, they know enough English to not mess up my sections, right? Or me have to look at this a lot once they give me something for approval, and using that and their turnaround time on Fiverr especially is really fast, because that's what they get their star rating for. So $15, and I think it's 48 hours. I do not think I have that lead magnet on this computer, otherwise I'd show you, but it looks beautiful. I've hired the same person 3 times now, because amazing. But and sometimes they go into other jobs whenever you may not find the same person, but you find others on a platform like Fiverr. So yeah, I mean, the design part is easy for an infographic. I think any infographic, any lead magnets, that design part is easy. Just find a good resource on Fiverr, someone who's 4.5 star plus rated, has hundreds of reviews, spend with more than $10-15 and you're golden. Some people spend more than that, but for me, that's been the sweet spot. for these types of things. Okay. Yeah, don't go making it yourself. You're an author, you're not a designer. It will take you a lot of time. I'm sure you can, but it will take a lot of time.
Crystal can do it. Crystal's both, but Crystal has
Oh,
spent
okay, cool.
years telling me that I'm a writer, not a designer, with love, with love.
Awesome. Other types of tweets to direct them to your book, teaser quotes and excerpts. But I know there's two Danikas in the room now, Donna and Danica. Remember from the romance session that we did, the romance novelist session. So I would just like how you gave it a template prompt of a point of view or that feeling when. Do you remember those in the romance session? Yeah, we gave it a template prompt rather than directly quoting things from the book. Similarly, for nonfiction, you give it a template prompt, but it's usually different templates based on what's been working. And the best way to do this is to figure out what are the templates, again, within your sub niche that have been working really well on Twitter, right? And then giving it those templates. So there's a workflow for that, which is, again, something that I would share in the 90-day thing, because it's a little bit more complex than we have time to go through right now, okay? Same with discussion questions. So you can, in theory, do what everyone else does, which is say, hey, this is my book, this is the book description, this is my piece by piece, or like what part should, summarize this and create it into like a tweet, right? But that output's not going to be as good as if you give it templates of what's working in your particular sub niche, and then say, okay, now based on that, here are sections of my book, pull out the excerpt that is most like this and give me 10 options. That's going to give you a better output, right? So we want to use AI, but we also want to be smart of how we use AI so we can get better results out there. Okay. Now, number 5. How am I on time? Almost done, right? Okay, how much? It's the last section, so I'm going to go through this real quick. So engaging facts and statistics plus a recommendation. Did I already go through this? Does this sound familiar? Okay. No, I don't think I did. Okay. Here's the audience I'm trying to reach. Authors are struggling with writing their novels. They're stuck even though they have plenty of inspiration. Characters who won't stop telling you what they want and have found the time and space to write. From judging plots and subplots to crafting characters and fleshing out a fictional world, your story can feel like a puzzle that will never fit together. This is directly from one of your book descriptions, by the way. What's worse, you can't shake the feeling that after all this work, you might be left with an unpublishable mess. Please give me 5 statistics on how writing a strategic outline will allow them to create a custom-built roadmap for their novel that will get them unstuck, okay? So it gave me these 5 statistics here. I would then, after this, feed this in and say, write this as a tweet with hashtags and a CTA, and those are your tweets for this particular section. Cool. Any questions, guys? Something in the chat.
There's so much here. I love it. And it's interesting to me how different it is from promoting for fiction.
Yeah.
This actually feels easier to me than the romance one. I don't know if that's fair to say, but it does feel easier.
Well, it feels easier to me. That's why I work with nonfiction authors, but that was all like, how can I stretch myself? But this is I feel like because there's that customer journey framework, and then it's very, very clear goals on what your Twitter strategy should be, what your Twitter account should be doing, what are the things that is going to get you from there to people buying. It's a lot easier in terms of just thinking that through, and then thinking through, okay, how do I basically like get 30 days, 90 days of content from it? What are the prompts? And then once you write those prompts once for your type of books, you can just keep reusing them again and again and again, just changing it for whatever that book is.
And how, in your experience and knowledge of other social media platforms, like how effective would these be on Instagram or on a Facebook page, for instance?
Very. I actually did this process for Instagram. couple fun things there that I had to do for the image part, because images matter a lot more on Instagram, right? So one thing was that I actually used, I think I mentioned Lexica art to you guys before. Lexicart.art is my like favorite come up with images thing, because I just don't get Midjourney yet. And so it literally is a database of people, their outputs they have gotten. Yeah, I did mention that. Yeah, their outputs that they have gotten from prompts. And then it had, and I used up my entire trial allowance used for that particular project, but I can also generate images by writing my own prompts. And what I did for that was I literally had ChatGPT write me the prompt that I can put in for my text to image. And it got me way better results than I've ever gotten before for a text to image. And so that's how I got certain Instagram images. I literally, even in one particular case, I got an image with a product in it, and then I went to Canva and put my product in place of that. So you can do that with your book. So it was a lot of fun. But yeah, so you can whatever social media platform you start with, you can then use this and just extend it to the other one based on the culture there. So obviously the culture in Instagram is a lot more image. So you would take, if you have done the tweet part already, you'd basically grab the tweets, tell ChatGPT to write it as Instagram captions, and give the Instagram has more hashtags. So it's ask it to give you hashtags appropriate to Instagram, and then also do then give it the image job, like find me images on Unsplash that fit for this. If you don't like them, then you say, okay, now give me prompts for text to image that I can use that go well with this particular Instagram caption. And same, change Instagram around to like Facebook. Don't worry about the hashtags for Facebook, of course, when you're doing it for Facebook. But yeah, this can be extended to pretty much all of the social media platforms. Another thing for nonfiction authors, I would say, is like the quote tweets or the quote Instagram images. Use Canva batch create, find a template you like, have ChatGPT give you like 40 quotes or something for that particular, like maybe it's a statistic code or a Maya Angelou code, whatever. Find a template you like, go to Canva, batch, I think it's called bulk edit, have it change the same template just for that quote, and then put that out on your Instagram. There you have 40 days of like Instagram posts for quotes, but because, where's my other phone? Here it is. But because the Twitter grid, or rather the Instagram grid, looks like, let me open this in grid view. You want to not have, it's loading. So that's your grid on Instagram. You don't want it to have like the same quote tweet, same design, 1, 2, 3, and just the quotes being different. Just spread them out. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Thoughts? No? All right. So let me tell you about what I would love to do with you guys next for, I already mentioned this a little bit, which is, 90 minutes, working with you guys to basically create 90 days of Twitter content, right? And doing some of the more fun things that actually will perform even better for you than some of the types of tweets that we mentioned here, like your creations. So the creation story, social proofing yourself as an expert, connection and engagement with personal stories, behind the scenes, and then also like the educational ideas from your books, and then other types of tweets to direct them to your book, right? So the teaser quotes and excerpts from your book, but based on templates. As well as how to reignite a stale Twitter following, because some of you mentioned that you've ignored your Twitter account, so you have a following, but you don't know if they remember who you are. How to reignite it. And then this is the part which really I think can help nonfiction authors a lot, is like how to engage and build a relationship with influencers in your world using your new AI employee, right? Figuring out who those influencers are, what you can actually say to them, all of that coming to you from ChatGPT. And then as a bonus, a zap to help you automatically schedule via buffer any final tweets simply by dropping it in a spreadsheet. So you would say, okay, I like this tweet, this is final. I put it in a spreadsheet row, and immediately it goes through the process and gets to your buffer. Okay. So yeah, so the way it will work is you'd come prepared with some info and some links that will allow us to create prompts that would allow us to then have these tweets that we're writing that I've written up there. And I'll give you the prompts and we're going to work through it together in the 90-minute session. And in the end, you'll have like excellent done for you content that you can now just drop in to your spreadsheet and go into your buffer or whatever your scheduling tool is, right? So that's what I would like to do with you guys next. Now, what else would you like to know for this to be like incredible value and like a no-brainer investment for you? What else would you want us to cover for this to be worth it for you?
Oops. I was gonna say, I think you answered mine, which was how to make it valuable for not off of Twitter. That would be for me.
Okay. Like basically how to extend it to other social media.
Yeah.
I can give you guys some prompts to basically repurpose that. So, repurposing prompts for other social media. Anyone else?
Yes, I didn't actually catch the details about the session, like in terms of what does it cost, when is it, or are you just in planning stages yet?
It's at idea stage now. So yeah, so when is it? We'll figure it out based on whoever says yes, I want in, and we'll find a time that works for everyone. In terms of cost, I typically do these kinds of like when I'm forming things at like a fairly low cost. Like it's usually like $100-$150, not more. And that's then you basically have the entire thing to run with after that. You have something usable at the end of that session. Yeah. Anything else? Would that be interesting? Not interesting? Do you want to spend another 90 minutes together and get like content out there for your nonfiction book?
I think I'm sorry.
Simon.
Go ahead. I think I'm not ready for it yet, but you know, I would think about it again another 30 to 90 days. So not
In another
not
90
sure.
days.
So,
Yeah, I think ditto on that. I'd like to do it for the next book as opposed to the old book. And so the one that's coming up, but I won't be ready for that for at least 2 to 3 months.
Yeah. What? So why are you guys marketing it after the book is done? Why not market it now?
That won't be after the book is done. That will be the launch pad for the next book. But I don't want to engage on social media until I finish writing the book. Like I've been on a break from a bunch of social, and I'm not going back until the next 2 books are finished. So I have a break in my calendar, which I am not going to undo in order to, because I'm not bouncing well between the things. So for me, that's just a personal thing. I'm going to jump back in kind of all at once, but not yet. So if I switch, the book will never get finished.
I'm just curious, what happens to your followings in the breaks time that you guys take? Are they still around at the end?
I still have all the same people I had before. They just
for your nonfiction.
I just say I'm on a break. Yeah, but I mean, social's not my primary method of marketing. We have our Creative Academy community and a bunch of other channels that tend to be we're more focused on ads and stuff. So I'm trying to move back into some more organic stuff, but yeah, can't do everything at once. So I want to learn how all the stuff is working, but yeah, I'm not ready yet. So potentially in like the 90-day kind of timeline, but not right now.
Yeah, I think this will be really helpful for me, Sana, because one of the things that you mentioned when you were saying, people, oh, are you waiting? Why are you waiting until you're done with the book? I mean, I think that for me, because I'm still writing the book, you know, because I only have a million other books to write, like the one that is due in a few days. It's not done yet, but but I think that for me, because like right now, like my book is like post-it notes here and documents here and things in my notebook there and things like that, like being able to, as I'm marketing it and talking to people about it online, figuring out where their true pain points are so I can figure out more of the focus and get that following, so that ideally when I put it up for sale, I'll have a bunch of people already clamoring to buy my book and be like, yes, yes, me, let me buy it right now.